Here is Calvin in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm glad you called. How you doing, Calvin?
I'm doing great.
Well, good. Thank you. What's up?
Well, it's an honor to talk to you. I'll get right to my point.
Appreciate that.
I have recently changed my mind about the removal of Confederate monuments. I mean, I understand how they could be offensive. However, when I hear someone like Al Sharpton talking about removing the Thomas Jefferson Memorial,
it's not.
I think
that's predictable. It's Charlie Rose not objecting to it that, to me, is the news.
Don't you think that puts us in the same bucket with the ISIS thugs that are destroying 1,000-year-old artifacts because they don't agree with what they might have done 1,000 years ago?
Which we, by the way, condemned when they did it. That's not what ISIS says.
We condemned that.
Can I go back to something else you said, Calvin? I think there's a very interesting and teachable moment here in something you said. You said you used to be sympathetic to the concept of tearing down and getting rid of these statues because you didn't like that it offended anybody. Why? Don't misunderstand the tone of my voice. And you're not going to have time to answer for the break, so I'm going to hold you through the break. So don't panic that you're running out of time here. I want you to think about the question during the break. I want to know, why is it just because somebody is offended we have to take down statues? Or just because somebody is offended we have to do anything? Why is it the offended, no matter how few of them there are, always must be acknowledged? Back now to Calvin in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm not trying to ignore everything else you said, but this has long been a pet peeve and a bugaboo of mine because we're doing it. All some little minority, very tiny minority group individual has to do is stand. I'm offended. This offends me. And we have to stop everything we're doing and get rid of whatever it offends. Why? Where did being offended become such an important thing that we cannot tolerate people who are offended?
Well, my experience has shown me that there's an old parable about the camel with his nose in the tent. And I agree with you now. I should never have compromised what I really thought was right to try to appease someone's feelings. You're absolutely right. I should not have done that. They were wrong to start with. But when you look at where they want to take it,
right,
it makes it glaringly clear, and they're no better than the ISIS thugs that are destroying beautiful artifacts because of something they disagree with. It's like the pharaohs chiseling the names of previous pharaohs off monuments. So I agree with you. You're right 100%.
Well, with ISIS, though, and this, I like your analogy, but I would take it even further. ISIS is not destroying monuments and museum artifacts because they disagree and are offended by it. They're wiping it out to erase it. They are trying to end all references to that which they disagree with. It's 1984, ISIS style. They're trying to eliminate from existence the things that they're destroying. They don't want anybody to ever know any of that happened. It's not that they're bothered by it per se. And you're also right about applaud this. You discovered you can't appease them. There is no appeasing them. And I'll tell you what, Calvin, people on our side still haven't learned this. You know, our so-called media and elected officials in Washington, their whole existence is based on appeasing somebody, the media or Democrat leaders or somebody, and you can't. Just like there's no appeasing in World War II the Japanese. All there was to do was defeat them. There was no appeasing them. Ditto Hitler and the Nazis. There was no appeasing. And yet this seems to be an approach that we all take. Well, these people are just, young people, and they're very, very upset here, and maybe we just acknowledge that we understand why they're mad and tear down a couple of Robert E. Lee statues, and we can show them that we understand. They see that. Oh, you're torn down two. Well, we want to get rid of the other 1,500 of them, wherever they are, however many. And you've just said that we can, so get out of our way. You want to appease us? This is what it's going to take. And if you really want to appease us, die. Because we'd really rather not have to deal with you, period. And don't think you can join us because we'll know that you don't really mean it. And yet we persist in trying to appease. It makes us feel better. It makes us feel better about ourselves. We're being nice and we're being understanding, and we're reaching out and showing them we're not the monsters they claim that we are. They are the monsters. We're all minding our own business here. We're bothering nobody, doing what we do. Not a single soul. Everything is ass backwards in this equation. The troublemakers versus the peace lovers. It's all ass backwards, or back asswards if you prefer that.